Welcome to the OG YOLK Podcast, and we welcome Derek Kwik. Wanted to reintroduce him because we have him on audio, but we want him on video this time. And I wanted to ask you a couple of things I didn't get a chance to ask you on the first episode. Let's start out with this. You graduated with a business administration degree at USC. And what made you start the other way, where you're like now a motivator and a mentor and a marathon runner?
It all started with people telling me what I couldn't do. I think there's a lot of doubters and haters out there, and when you really kind of dive into the doubters and the haters, it's because they haven't done it themselves. So they figure that they're the baseline, and because they can't do it, you can't do it. So when I first discovered ultra marathons, I said to myself, these ultra endurance events where they're multi-days and you have to cover 50 miles a day across land, sea, mountains, man versus nature. Doesn't matter what Mother Nature's throwing at you, you just got to figure a way to get across the finish line. You've seen a lot of these on TV, and people will tell you, I couldn't do that. And I said, well, I want to try it. And they're like, you couldn't do that. And I'm like, well, if I tried a little bit to train a little bit every day, why couldn't I do that? So I tried my first one in year 2000. I don't remember how old I was. I guess
Sorry for asking.
late 30s, I guess. And it was 350 miles over 10 days through the jungles of Borneo in Malaysia. And I finished it in 10 days. No sleep.
No training? No, like you didn't
No
do
sleep.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of training. I had hamburger feet. So your feet, the bottoms of your feet, the skin is literally falling off the soles of your feet. Cuts and bruises everywhere. Just having a miserable experience for the body, but such an amazing experience for the soul, and eye-opening in terms of like what you can do when the world tells you you can't do that because it's for a professional. So I tried my first one, finished it. I got a pat on the back, and my friends tell me that I just got lucky. So I went back the following year, went to New Zealand, did another 10-day epic event through snow mountains, climbing mountains with an ice axe, and finished that. Went across to the Sahara Desert in Morocco, and doing 155 miles in 6 days through searing desert temperatures, going through the night.
But at this point, you still didn't train, or you just...
No, you have, there is some amount of training. What you end up realizing that it's 40% physical and 60% mental, because the body will always want to quit long before the mind does. So the focus of training ends up being on the mind, because it's more of a mental endurance than it is a physical endurance. So as long as you prepare yourself mentally, in life you can kind of do anything physically. So I ended up just focusing on more of the mental aspect of ultra endurance events rather than the physical component.
Did you ever like do any studies, like medical journals and stuff, before you just had at it? Like...
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of go and figure it out. I mean, life will never give you the opportunity to do something when you're 100% ready. So I feel like, so I have a motto, which is don't wait, time will never be just right. So as long as you're 75% ready to do anything in life, that's the time you're given, then you just go and do it. You figure everything else out along the way. So I think that's the important thing about it.
Yeah. one of the things I wanted to ask is how many people keep asking you, even though you're not like a nutritionist, you're not a doctor, but a lot of people probably ask you a lot of like from your life experience of health. What do you call it? You're basically a health practitioner to me, and everyone asks you questions about it, right? Like everybody's different.
Well, I think health is maybe too broad of a word to talk about, because health encompasses a lot of things. I think it's probably more about just in terms of like the mental wellness aspect of like how do you stay sane? How do you stay fit? But you can be healthy and fit, but you can also be unhealthy and fit. I think I'm part of the latter, where I think I'm fit for someone my age. But in terms of like the other things which are important to keep in balance, I think there's basically 5. One is, of course, being doing a lot of exercise on a regular basis.
Right.
But the other part of it too is eating healthy. You also have to sleep well. I think being happy is very important, so laugh a lot. And then the last thing is like, don't stress.
How do you said all those 5 things, the eating healthy, you do have a guilty pleasure that you do every time you come to visit.
I think one of the greatest things about America is all the junk food that they have here. So just the fast food culture, as unhealthy as it is, I like it as a vacationing aspect of being here. So I hit up all the fast food joints, but I think just that on a long-term basis is probably not good for you. But when I come here, I partake in all the junk food here because it's just amazing.
And your favorite is?
I have too many favorites.
Oh, got it.
In-N-Out, Chipotle, any fast food place, Arby's, McDonald's.
So let's move on to the fact that you've done kind of like TED Talks kind of stuff where with an audience. How comfortable and how did you get to be comfortable? Is it because of your business administration degree? Or
being comfortable on stage and talking to the public is not about where you went to school or what degree you have. That has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I think being comfortable on stage is just how much confidence you have and what you project to a bigger audience, and whether or not the message and the narrative that you're speaking of is something that you really believe in and that you can back by true examples. So it's not something you read about, it's actually something that you really did. So I meet a lot of people that read about stuff, and when they talk, you can hear the content that they talk about is actually very hollow and very surface level because they just haven't lived it. So living the experience is really important.
Okay, that makes sense. So you weren't shy as a kid?
I was shy as a kid,
good.
just as any. I think being shy is just a very natural part of human nature. But you only get good at, the only way you get good at anything is through repetition.
Right.
So if you want to get good at public speaking, just tell stories on stage 100 times. Guarantee you, the first time you tell that story is not going to be as good as the 10th time you tell the story.
That's true. What triggered you after your experience with your business acumen? What triggered you to do startup?
I think if ultra marathons, so anything that's greater than a 26.2 mile city marathon, ultra marathons or anything beyond that, if ultra marathons is one of the true tests of human endurance, then I would say that doing a startup is probably the ultimate test for mental endurance, because just like with ultra marathons, everybody's going to doubt you. There's going to be a lot of haters out there that are going to tell you you could never run a marathon. That's only for professionals. And when you want to do your own startup, people are going to want to say, well, why don't you just work for a company, because it's so much easier. You get a paycheck every month, but you're chasing that dream of wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to be a founder, wanting to do a startup, and that is so much harder to do. So I think on both fronts, running a marathon or doing a startup, the mental endurance is the same.
Yeah, you're challenging your mental and physical self.
Yeah.
how do you challenge your emotional stuff?
Emotional stuff. What do you mean by emotional stuff?
People talk mental and physical, but there's always the middle. The emotional is your well-being, like coping, people listening to you, or you have time alone, and you know, that kind of.
Well, the emotional component, I think, is just only thinking about what in your life is in your own control versus what in your life is completely not in your control. So why stress out about the things that you can't control? Like I can't control what the weather's going to be like tomorrow when I'm running an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
So, but I can focus on my training. I can focus on what kind of gear I bring. There's only a certain amount of scenarios that I can be creative enough to think about that I could potentially run into, like breaking a shoelace. Okay, well, I'll bring some duct tape to fix my shoes if that happens.
Yeah.
Or maybe bring an extra pair of shoelaces. But I think that there's you're not going to be able to control the sun and the moon and the sky. So that's things that I just don't worry about. So in life, just on one side of the equation, put the things that are in control on one side, and the things that are not in control, that are not in your realm of destiny to just decide on, don't worry about it, because it's just a waste of time.
And you think the startups are relevant today to still work out? I mean, I don't hear that many. Everything's corporate, it seems. So.
No, I think it depends on what angle of the world you're looking at. Because I work in the startup world, I see startups every single day.
Oh, okay,
To me, that never stops.
Yeah.
And the corporate world also never stops. But depending on which side of the fence you see things on, it's very different. I think there are cycles in terms of like what the when tech or when startups are like really hot or really popular, like today with AI. But startups have been around for a long time.
If you're in the startup world, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not 8-question rapid question. I'm distracted by the external activities around here. One of the questions I have is coffee or tea?
Coffee or tea?
I think you don't drink coffee, do you?
I drink Starbucks, but I don't
yeah.
drink coffee. If that makes any sense, because I just like the sugar.
Book or song that starts your day?
Book or song? I don't read books, so it'd definitely be a song.
What's
Any kind of gangster rap or hard rock from the 80s would float my boat.
Okay. What would be your superpower if you had one?
My superpower, if I had one, I think it would be being able to read other people's minds or go back in time. Go back in time is probably my superhero power.
Yeah, if you read people's mind, you might be annoyed by them. You know what they say and think and stuff. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
You want to name all of them or just one? Just one particular one?
Only the original.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is also good. Return of the Jedi, it starts to taper off from there. I don't like the newer ones.
Mom or dad influenced you more?
Neither.
Interesting. Okay. You're like the second person who said that. So, streaming or theater? Theater.
Movie streaming.
Okay. Last question is 3 things you want to bring in a box. Family's already included. If you had to escape anywhere.
Dr. Pepper. Netflix.
If it survives.
And my running shoes.
Aw. Can you tell us one thing about your family that makes you laugh?
I think just the naivety that they have in terms of like how the world works. I think that's pretty funny.
That is fair. Thank you, Derek Kwik, for doing this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your kids enjoyed it. Look at their face. And I appreciate you coming back to us. We've been friends for so long, and I'm very happy to
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you to the team OG YOLK.